Is it recording? Why did I choose the squeakiest chair imaginable? Good afternoon, everybody. Today I want to show you how I painted a little project I've been working on. It's a frame I got from Cost Plus a while ago. I just thought it was so cute because it kind of looked like two barn doors. It didn't come like this. I did all the painting. You can still buy this wooden frame. It's $20 online and I'll link it down below. But when I got it, it was only $10. It was on sale. It may have been a little shop worn, which was fine because I obviously covered any of that. I want to talk you through how I did it. It's sort of a DIY, but not exactly, because obviously this took several days to complete, and I got in a little bit over my head. But I want to share with you some of the techniques I used, how I simplified the steps. It's somewhere between Tyrolean and sort of more Scandinavian, like Rosemaling and Kurbits with the stenciling I used, but it made it so much easier than the freehanding people do, which is incredible for traditional Rosemaling painting. The steps are all really simple, they just have a tendency, like any paint, to become messy. Well, that was weird. My card said full all of a sudden, even though I've only made one clip. It must know I'm going to a play soon. And my dogs know too. They had to go out and bark. So if you hear anything, inside I have my first dog. This is my little Jack. This was 1998. I was 8. Little 9-week-old puppy on the back lawn. My first step was to measure the frame and then go on to Photoshop, put in the exact dimensions, and work it out on there. It's funny, some of these shapes are actually Photoshop shapes from the stamp tool, which is really bizarre to know that's a computer shape on this very antique looking thing. I worked it out on Photoshop, exactly what I wanted to do. Well, not exactly, I changed it a lot as I went, and you can tweak it, but I figured out the main larger shapes, like there and the tree, and where I wanted the flowers around the edge, etc. I printed it out on this Avery sticker paper. I made 2 versions on Photoshop. One was just black and white, also in color, and that way I could work out the colors before I was actually mixing paint. Here's what else I needed, and perhaps you will need if you want to do something similar, which you can do and scale it way down. You know, just try this technique and do it in one corner of a frame, etc. So besides a laptop and Photoshop, I used acrylic paint. These are just from an art kit I had, and I'm sure acrylic paint from Michael's would work actually better, but I just used these because I had them and I wound up mixing my own colors. Because they were older and maybe not designed for already varnished wood, things peeled off a lot. Even though that was super annoying, I liked it because you could easily fix mistakes. And then in the end, I varathaned it anyway, so everything stuck on there for good. Next came this big white bottle of acrylic craft paint. Those acrylic paints were not very opaque, so to make them more opaque, I wound up using a lot of this white. And the more I put in that, even if I made the color dark again, the better it worked. Next came Krylon crystal clear acrylic coating, amber wood shellac that I borrowed from my dad, paint brushes, an old foam paintbrush, Q-tips, an X-Acto knife, an awl or a nail art tools, a paint mixing spatula, or in my case a buttercream spatula, a makeup brush, masking tape, a glass of water to thin your paint, paper towels or napkins for cleaning up, scissors, a pencil, a ruler, a hole punch, a waxy or chalk white pencil, an eraser, an old makeup sponge thoroughly washed, printable sticker paper, and a paint palette or palette paper. Next, I measured my frame and put the dimensions into Photoshop. I also measured the doors and the crossbars on the frame and put those dimensions in too. None of it needs to be exact. Next, I cut out the 4 squares in the center with the pictures inside. Just be careful to avoid details you'll need later. I decided scissors made a lot more sense. I cut little notches around the handles that help me to place my pieces. Next, lay them out on your frame and decide where you want them. Cut off the corners and try to keep track of which one goes where. I had to turn off my camera to place the first one. It was a lot of pressure, but once you get that first one in place, it becomes a lot easier. You can use a ruler if you need help. Then I covered areas around where I was painting with masking tape. And for the patchwork effect, think of an imaginary line down the center and put the tape on the left side under the line and the tape on the right side above the line. My first step was to do the blue around the edge. First, I mixed a gray-blue color. I found out what was clogging the paint. And carefully brush it on, trying to brush away from the sticker so the fibers of the brush didn't go underneath. And then you can start peeling. So satisfying. Whoops. Next I used the same paint but mixed in more blue and more gray for a darker version of the same shade. After that you can peel off the corners. I was careful on 2 sides of the triangle not to mix with the blue. Just like with the blue, some of them needed 2 coats. Next, peel off the large center pieces. And again, because it's that peely paint, you can easily fix mistakes with an X-Acto knife and more paint. Next, I taped off half of the cross beams to have a nice clean edge for my red. I had to mix in some white in the middle coat. It was not opaque at all. Remember to keep opening your doors a lot. Hi, Puppy Jack. Oh, what a puppy. To make sure that they aren't glued shut by paint. Next, I moved on to the flowers around the edge. I really like the way they turned out. I want to just put one little flower on everything I own. I got out my second stencil and cut out the flower pieces. Please, if you're watching this and you're not grown up yet, do not attempt to cut these with an X-Acto knife. And if you are grown up, please be careful too. I stuck them on. Use a bone folder or your scissors case to press them down. Okay, this is the really fun part. Next time I'm going to film a video just about cutting up old makeup sponges. I was half terrified it would be black in the center from months of using it on my face. So I learned later on that I didn't have to completely white out the area using the stencil, and it's better that way because it tends to go under the edges a little bit, which happened to me. So just do the center a lot, tiny bit around the edge, but make it very dry. I hadn't learned the white pencil technique, which you'll see later on, for the bear or the tree, so it got a little messy. And slowly peel away. I recommend doing it while it's still slightly wet, so then the painted shapes are less like a big sticker that's gonna just come off with your paper. From here on out, I did everything in white first, and then it's really fun. You can just think of it as coloring and color them in. It also makes for easier clean edges because you can't see the colored paint as well on the brown. Lining the edges. Ugh. This was not my favorite part. Too much like professional Rosemaling. but I made it out alive. And again, I came back with an X-Acto knife to clean it up. Also, with the pink flowers, I added more pink in the center to clean it up. So now, my favorite discovery, these nail art tools I got for $3 on Amazon. They made dotting so fun and easy. No more swirling around a bedraggled old paintbrush. A toothpick that's way too fine. So on to the characters. Well, I guess the tree isn't really a character. I just cut out the bear with an X-Acto knife, and since I didn't have an awl, I just punctured them with a nail. So here's where I really started using the white pencil for these little intricate details and to mark where the dots went, the feathered branches of the tree, where our little friend's elbow went, his little tummy and feet. And then I just used very dry sponging in the center. And before it was dry, I peeled it away. To make the white background even more opaque, I filled in with a paintbrush, defining the tree even more. For the small details, I went for the nail art tool. It did not work, however, on the swirls. It made it too thick. So I scratched it away and used a paintbrush instead. You can see here what I mean about the paint peeling off. Definitely the most therapeutic part was doing all the little dot patterns. So rewarding with such minimal effort. Then I moved on to the smaller detail stencils. I only used pencil just to mark where things went. I used various sizes of the nail tools to fill in the dots on the blue background. Next I colored in the little sprinkled pattern. Here's a close-up of it after it's finished. And then the tree. I read the Chronicles of Narnia when I was older, and all I remember really was a badger, I think it was in Prince Caspian, who was nervously sucking his paws a lot. So when I was designing a baby bear, I thought, oh, maybe he's a little nervous and it's his security blanket to suck his paws. I was totally winging it when I started coloring the bear, not to mention he was upside down for the camera. After coloring him in, I just started shading in different colors. Next, I bordered him in little tiny black dots to make him stand out, in the crook of his arm too. And then that wasn't quite enough to make him stand out from the wood background, so I did white dots as well. Even after I blended in with the stain after, he still stood out. He's outstanding and sucking. I just kept working the shading till I was happy with it. His face was another thing I did off camera because I needed to get really close. I mean, let's face it, what is everyone gonna look at first? To finish off the painting, I just went dot crazy everywhere. I didn't film the last part. So simple, just to lock everything on. I used the crystal clear and sprayed 2 medium coats, and then I just dipped my pieces of sponge in a little bit, oh, isn't that pretty? In a little bit of the wood stain. I tested it first, obviously, to make sure that it didn't just rip my designs clear off the face of the earth. So I used the sponge with a little bit of that. I highly recommend with something oil-based or chemical-based like this, unlike the paint, to use a foam brush because I kept getting little bits of orange sponge and they'll probably be there forever, but I scraped them off and salvaged it in time. I think I did about 1.5 coats, but just little areas at a time to make sure I liked it. So I hope this inspires you to do some embellishing of your own. Thanks for watching. Bye!